What's up, everyone? Beast Mode back here with another video. So today I finally sat down and re-recorded my Deck Devastators 6 run. I went 9-0. I went undefeated in Swiss and ended up losing top 8 match, which is typical of me. It's kind of the thing I do best, is make it all the way top cut and then kind of lose somewhere along top 8, not win the event. So this is the deck here. I had played this deck a bit prior to the event, but I almost just went with a straight Diva hero, Diva zombie build, and I kind of woke up feeling dangerous that day and said, you know what, I'm going to play Scrap Iron Scarecrow, and I'm going to play the deck, and we'll see what happens. So this is the deck. I'm not going to cover all 10 rounds because A, that takes far too long. Most people don't have the patience to watch all of it, and a lot of the matches you can actually see on stream. I think I'm on stream like 2 or 3 times on the Crow's Nest channel, the Deck Devastator 6 stream. So I'm going to cover 5 matches today. We are going to just kind of talk through my thought process, and I'll let you know now that there are definitely some times where I could have made different plays, and any quote-unquote good top pro player, they all make mistakes. The problem is a lot of people just won't showcase it, but I'm going to cover my matches regardless, whether you think I play good or not. That's fine, but I went undefeated, so I can't say much more than that. So let's get into the first match here. You might actually hear me click a bit here to go through the replay, but I'm going to talk through my thought process on some of the turns, and I hope you guys enjoy. Let's see. I don't remember. I think I went first here. So this is round 1. So of course round 1 is always the roughest for me in terms of getting back into the groove. It takes a few rounds to really get into that zone, and to go beast mode. Essentially you have to be like round 5 or 6 really before that comes out. So I think I do go first, and I don't typically do these replays with both hands revealed, because the problem is then I have 35 messages in chat saying, or comments, oh, why didn't you do this or do that? Well, it's very easy to do all that when you can see the cards that your opponent has. So I typically don't, but whatever, the hand's revealed here, so we'll just go with it. This is a very typical hero beat play. They open the Diva and always usually make Android. So obviously there's not much here. So a lot of people nowadays are trying to crash recruiters and like set up the Book of Life. I'm still not a fan of that because of the fact that there could be deprison. Of course, in this instance it would have worked, but I still think that the play is just set recruiters and hope that they attack. And if they don't, I'm perfectly fine with that too. So we do get punished, of course, because of DD Warrior Lady. So I actually thought that. I said, oh boy, my hand is like really bad right now. But then I draw a turtle. So I actually thought, I remember this in the tournament. Excuse me. I actually thought for a period of time if I should just take the chance to crash here in case there's another DD Warrior Lady. And then I could at least, Book of Life would not be completely dead. I ended up deciding not to do that because I didn't want to give away the fact that it could have been a Pyramid Turtle because of the fact that they could have Gemini Spark, and they actually have Spark, so no alias. But because if this is face down, they think it could be a Goblin Zombie, so they're not. Sometimes they don't just want to Spark face downs like that because, yeah, sure, they hope they hit a recruiter, but they may not. So if I flip Pyramid Turtle, then sure, I end on Goblin Zombie, but they know it's there too. So I think I just decided to let it go. I set a bluff book, and now I'm feeling fine. Once that happened, once that recruiter goes, and that's why a lot of people just don't want to attack these things, because like it opens up the whole deck. Because now Book of Life is live, I have a Goblin Zombie, and at this point we're sitting pretty. So I think you all can see the play that's going to happen here. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be Caius. That's the best play this deck has. It's not any synchro play. It's Caius over Goblin Zombie. That's the best play this deck pretty much offers. So we grab Plague Spreader here. That's pretty obvious. We have double Book of Life with a Goblin Zombie. There's nothing here that's game breaking. I do. Why do I do this main phase 2? I think I decide to. I don't even know why I do this. This is pretty interesting. I'm trying to think what I do here. I don't entirely know why I Book of Life that there. Anyway, it felt good at the time. I've worked all day and I'm trying to review these matches with like squish brain. So this is all typical stuff. Nothing crazy going on here. So I actually set, this is fun. I set the Plague Spreader Zombie from my hand to try and bait out a Spark. They probably should have been able to read that this was a Plague Spreader Zombie because they know I searched it. I didn't care if this set the grave. So I could have had an option to synchro here, but the reality is I'm synchroing into 2 back row, and the chances of there being a spark or bottomless is very high. So I actually decided just to set the play spreader zombie, and it actually works out because they spark it, and you know nobody wants to be sparking that. We go for another Book of Life, and there's a Hero Blast. No big deal. We're gonna get a search. We just search another. So you could search Mizuki here. That would be fine too. But I also don't want to play. So if you search a Mizuki here, then you're obviously going Zombie Master, pitch Mizuki, and that plays into Bottomless. So I decided to just go right for the Goblin. And if they have Bottomless here, I'm not overly concerned because I have Scrap Iron, and I believe I can make Dark Arm live at any time. So this play just felt better than just going search Mizuki, summon Zombie Master, and pitch. I think just summon Goblin right off the search is better. So we are just doing typical zombie things here, and we are setting up for OTK because the back row is obviously not real. If they have Bottomless, they're going to Bottomless the Bionic. So once I saw that, I knew there's no Torrential. I knew that there's no Bottomless, so we're going to set this up. And we are just doing zombie combos, dropping Dark Arm, stacking for Plague, and searching a bunch of stuff. And we could continue on if we really wanted here, and that should be game. So that was game 1. I honestly don't remember why I decided to Book of Life main phase 2. I think I wanted to start using, I really don't know. It could have been because they had 2 water and I had 2 Book of Life, so 2 water monsters. So I could remove one, and then next turn if I decided to do a Book of Life play, I would remove the other to keep them off of a Miracle Fusion. But I can't entirely tell you what I was thinking at that time. It worked, but so we get Dust Shoot turn 1, so that's never good. Gale was really strong versus Stratos like all weekend. I feel like that's pretty much what the thing did the whole time. So my opponent here, I think, believes that I set D-Prison because they just slam MST off the top, and I just set the MST because like they think that I'm going to set D-Prison. So I know that they're thinking that, so I just set the MST because I'm going to drop Trag. So I don't really have any intention of ever D-Prisoning Stratos because it's a straight -1. I see people doing this all the time. I don't know if it's right or not. They just Bottomless Stratos. They D-Prison Stratos. Stratos is straight up a -1. I don't know why you want to do that. I understand maybe keeping them off the hero monsters, but like for me, I would rather just drop Trag and run it over. So I get a little bit of a bonus there. I'm able to get the +1. They do have the Compulse, so they can chain it here and still get the... they don't actually Compulse back the Stratos. I do remember this here. They're just going for heavy damage. And I actually hold the Trag for the second attack, obviously, because it's only 1800. So typically, the best play here, in my opinion, is just to try to run one of these over and then set the Tomato. Make them forced to kill the Trag here. You could have also made the argument to pitch the Tomato and take control of one of the level 4s, but the problem is if they're sparked, then that just doesn't happen. So I think this is the best play. We set Tomato, we set the D-Prison that they know about. Here's a play here where they should have attacked the Goblin Zombie, I feel like most people don't leave Goblin Zombie on the field. You already attacked the Recruiter and you left Goblin on the field. So at this point, you should run over the Goblin because now I'm forced to use a Book of Life. Like I search Plague and now search, and then I have to play Book of Life. Whereas in this situation here, I'm going to still have Book of Life, and you still have to deal with this Goblin Zombie another turn. So I don't know. I think that if you see Goblin Zombies on the field, you probably should run them over. And if you see Recruiters, you shouldn't attack them. But again, they know I have D-Prison. They don't know about Return. So they're just being super aggressive here, and that's fine. So now I do the play. And of course, I'm just going to D-Prison the hero, the alias, because if they have Spark, then they have it. It's pretty much what I say in this situation, because I don't feel like ever D-Prisoning the Stratos, like I said. And they don't always have the alias, and they already had a Spark. So that's kind of what my point here, and it worked. And at this point, we are going to do zombie stuff, and we go into Goyo. We could have also the whole brain control play, stack for Plague, and make another Synchro. And I don't believe, looking quickly here, that I actually have like an OTK line. So I think we're just kind of playing slow, keeping up some resources for next turn. So in this situation here, if our opponent, I didn't realize this, but if they just attack us, they win. They have double honest, but we also have 2 back rows. So I understand why they're not attacking. So they do attack with one, but don't attack with the DD Warrior Lady. So to me, that kind of seems like an Honest is sitting in hand. Now remember, I don't actually know they have two Honest here. A piece of me almost attacked with Goyo over DD Warrior Lady, and I could have like made a return play if I needed to, but I was gonna summon the Plague and Synchro and make a big make a Brio, search the Mizuki, which is I think what I do here, and I was gonna actually pitch. I could pitch Mizuki to bounce back the return and chain return to bring back the Plague and like banish Mizuki and do all that. But I don't remember exactly what I do here. I think I say I'm just gonna go for a game and not attack this DD Warrior Lady here. I do end up returning and make some more synchros, but do I just brain control here or do I just pitch? I think I just pitch. I could have just brain control too, but the problem was brain. So a piece of me thought about brain control in case they had Gores, but the problem is if I can't attack, like Gores in attack position is 1200 damage, I guess. So I would still be alive if I decide to try to banish with the DD Warrior Lady if I brain control. But good thing I didn't attack because they had double Honest. If my opponent did attack that game, then I would probably have lost. Obviously, I didn't have anything to stop it. I'll be honest with you, Hero Beat is just not a good deck, and Zombies pretty much stomp it. I don't remember the last time I've lost a Hero Beat with this deck. I actually played like 2 Hero Beat this tournament, this deck here, and one later on. Roger Smith, who's a very good player. I don't know. I don't lose to that deck very often. It's just too fair in my opinion. So that was like round 1. I'm a little warming up a little bit. I'm not entirely sure the first game why I did the Book of Life main phase 2, but I don't know. We'll move on from that. So this is best Yu-Gi-Oh player NA. This is actually deeper into the tournament. I think this is like round 6 maybe. So those of you who don't know, he's a very good, one of the top hero zombie players in the format. We actually played each other in at Rulers this season, and it was like round 2. And I ended up misplaying like really hard game 1 with a dust shoot, and I ended up losing it in game 3, and I dropped from Rulers as 1-1. I didn't even bother playing out the rest of the event, but so he's been topping like a bunch of events right now, and I know he's a very good player. So, and I kind of want my rematch too. I want to get that win because I did lose at Rulers. So I know what he's playing. I'm pretty certain he knows I'm playing Zombies. I don't think he knows that I'm playing, Scrap Iron, Scarecrow, and Starlight Road and all that, but he has an idea. He knows I'm playing Zombies. So let's see here. This is typical. So this deck is extremely explosive, obviously. That deck can kill you in any turn. As you can see, Gale put in some work here just running over Stratos, which it did frequently. I felt pretty good here until MST came down, and that happened a lot where Gale just dies. Because if we still have MST here, this whole play is going to just get bottomless, like blown right up. But, the MST, so I get it. It's not a huge deal. They're going to take Gale, but we have plenty of things here that will... And I know the list that he's playing because he's been on the list forever, that the deck doesn't play much defense. So like he hardly plays any traps. He actually side decks into Royal Decree. So I know that there's not much defense in that deck. So I don't really have much to worry about most of the time with attacks. So we just run over the Gale. And of course we have Mystic Tomato. There's no reason for him to attack this because he does not want to take it. So that's smart by him. Let's see here. So we have an option to ram and try to search a Goblin Zombie and Tribute for Kai's. And you guys will notice throughout this tournament run, or the videos, at least the games I'll show you, I don't crash recruiters very often at all. And I know a lot of people do that. I just don't do it because it's A, you take a lot of damage, and B, your opponent sees everything that's coming. And then they have their turn to respond to what you're doing because everything else you have to do now is main phase 2. Like, Zombies are so explosive because you are able to do things in main phase 1, do your battle phase, and usually win the game. If you're doing all your stuff main phase 2, it's not nearly as good. So I do understand there's time where you have to crash your recruiters, but I often do not do that. So you've already seen a few instances where I just pass and I don't do it. And every turn that goes by where they're not attacking my recruiters, I'm fine with that. Because the longer this game goes on, the more likely I am to win. Because I'm just better at grinding the game than most of my opponents. And his deck is not built to grind. It's an explosive deck. Sure, it can because it has has a couple recruiters in the deck. I'm not sure how many Kaias he plays, but it plays similar cards. But the deck is really, his goal is to be extremely explosive. And it's hard to do when I'm sitting down on a bunch of recruiters. You have to make Brio. You have to make certain monsters to do that. So the longer these games go on, the more likely I am to win, and I'm okay with that. I have Ultimate Offering. I'm ready to go in any time. This torrential did kind of hurt a little bit. I kind of regretted making the Kai's play there. I thought maybe I should wait another turn and be a little bit more patient, but I still had a search, so it wasn't a big deal. And at this point, I believe I actually set Ultimate Offering. I don't remember entirely. I thought to myself, if I get heavy, then I'm going to probably lose. But if I don't get heavy, I can actually win next turn because Ultimate Offering is that broken. And I think you guys might see on display here, I actually just deprison this, and we're going to go here. So I remember that this deck doesn't play much defense. And he has not played like any real traps aside from Torrential Tribute. So I'm reading there could be a bottomless. Most decks play at least one. Or, you know, there still could be a real trap back here. It's not that they don't play any, but there's not Triple D Prison in this deck. There's not, you know, Wing Blast and a bunch of other stuff. I don't even think he's playing Compulse. So we decided to go for it here. So I want to test the water and see what's back there. So we just do a synchro play. I just make Gaia. I throw out Gaia and say, okay, is there bottomless or no bottomless? And ideally this would have been like Goyo Guardian, but the problem is like I don't want to lose Goyo Guardian for no attack because his deck is extremely explosive where he can make like 2 synchros and then you want Goyo for the crackback to be able to take one of them. So I don't want to waste Goyo into a bottomless here. And then all of a sudden I don't see a bottomless, so now I'm like, okay, let's try to win the game. And we know there's no torrential and there's no bottomless because I don't see a reason why he wouldn't bottomless here, especially where I have a diva, because I can just ladder up into like Stardust and then bottomless is useless. So he more than likely would have just bottomless. So at this point, I'm gonna try to go for game, and you can see here how broken Ultimate Offering can be. There might have been a different line you could have done if you wanted to spend some time to stare at it. I don't play Ill Blood, so. Of course, the only thing that this loses to, because I don't have Goyo, is Gores. So that is something I take into consideration. And I don't typically play like this. I'm usually more passive. But I know that he's an extremely good player. And I know that his deck is extremely explosive. So I have an opportunity to win game here. And Gores is the one card that stops me. And sometimes they have it and sometimes they don't. But we go for it. And again, it looks way worse now that I don't have Goyo. But I'm explaining the reason why I didn't make Goyo here. And I wasn't actually planning on OTKing at all this turn. The reason why I ended up going for it is because I saw an opportunity where he didn't activate the back row. So I said, okay, if somebody is you know potentially going to hand you the game, I say go for it. But that was very risky. If there was Gores there, I lose, definitely. So you have to remember that. Was it calculated? It was calculated in the sense that there was no bottomless, so I said, let's go for it. But you really can't have a read on Gores. There was nothing there that, you know, that made me make a read on Gores. So I just went for it, and I got rewarded for that. So keep that in mind. That doesn't work all the time. So typically when people set face downs, I summon to attack them because if this is a Goblin Zombie, you don't want them tributing Caius for it. And if it's a Recruiter, then you don't care because if they tribute Caius for it, it doesn't matter that much. Because, you know, tributing Caius over Recruiter, tributing Caius over Instant Fusion, tributing Caius over Cyber Dragon is not as good as tributing Caius over a Goblin or Sangan, obviously. So ideally you want to remove Goblin Zombies off the field, and you know want to keep Recruiters on the field. And obviously here this is not a big deal. It's just a 2 for 2. Sure, my Goblin gets removed and that hurts a little bit, but Pyramid Turtle's gone for him, so I'm okay with that. We do luckily enough draw a Mystic Tomato, and at this point we have an open field, and if they have Gores, I have a D Prison, and I want this to die anyway, so that's fine. We do set the Space Typhoon because they're playing Future Fusion this turn, and we're cool with that. So at this point we see Vanity's Fiend. So this hurts a little bit here. Now you wish you had the D Prison, but if he has heavy, he's obviously going to heavy there before he plays Future Fusion, so you're definitely going to lose. You're going to go -1 there. So sure, we lose a... This is not the world's worst situation because they did have to spend a lot of cards to make the Vanity's Fiend, like Special Summon Greffer. Sure, they pitched Malicious, but I'm not entirely sure why they just don't remove Mally and summon the Vanity's Fiend off of Mally and then keep Greffer on the field. Maybe they just value having Mally in the graveyard for a synchro play later on. It's probably what it is, but they could have done a little bit more damage, 1,700 more damage. So here we draw a Scrap Iron Scarecrow, and we just set D Prison in this situation here because we obviously want Vanity's Fiend to be removed off the field. Thinking about it now, we could have just played the Scrap Iron because this is actually shutting off his whole deck too. And we don't actually have a play to make, so you could have set either or here. Scrap Iron could have been fine too, but once this is flipped, then he knows it's there. So I decided just to get rid of the threat now, and we set a few more. So we could have just taken the damage here. I thought about this just to take the 1100 and potentially mill a dark and get us that much closer to Dark Arm. But I feel like this card is valuable after it stops a single, like if you get 2+ attacks that you stop with this card, I feel like that's when you're actually gaining some value. So I'd rather not take the 1100 at this point, and it's no guarantee that I'm going to mill a dark anyway. The problem is here he could potentially Caius this. You know what I mean? That does open up that situation, especially where I can't clear the Goblin Zombie right now. So you could have just taken the 1100. That might have been a better play at that point. But I like Scrap Iron. So we just set the Spirit Reaper here. Luckily, we drew another monster, and they don't have Caius. So we're just playing the back and forth draw game now, and now I'm getting back into my comfort zone. And at this point, I have Solemn set. I have 2 Dark, and you know, I'm trying to set up a my goal here is I have Solemn set. If I can get Caius to stick at this turn, I can next turn summon Diva, make a Synchro play, put my 3rd Dark in the graveyard, and slam Dark Arm, and I can win the game pretty much. So that's kind of where I'm working towards that right now. I'm setting it up this turn. Luckily, the Caius does not get hit with anything because, again, this deck does not seem to play much defense. And a piece of me thought about hitting the face down, a potential Recruiter, but Goblin Zombie sitting there like that is just too obvious. I feel like you just take the 1000 and go for it. I choose not to attack here. That's right. I don't attack because I'm pretty sure it's a Recruiter. The deck doesn't set much else, so I don't attack it. And this works out pretty good. I actually top deck Crow, which I can just pitch right to the graveyard here. And that allows me to drop Dark Arm right off the bat and kind of test back row without summoning the Diva. I could have held the Crow, but I'm crowing the Malicious anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me there. We have Solemn, we have a Compulse, so I'm also pretty insulated versus Gores, if he happen to have Gores. He does hit the Compulse and scoops up before I attack, but that's game again. So we got pretty fortunate the fact that our opponent didn't have a Bottomless game 1. Fortunate at some times that there was no Caius, especially when I was you know, top decking and top the Spirit Reaper and whatnot, but that's just a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Your opponent doesn't always have everything you think they do. Looks like they had actually drawn the second Mally and needed a Plague in the graveyard, but great player. Love playing against best Yu-Gi-Oh! Player NA. Always a good match. So I'm glad I got the win because now we're kind of evened up, so we'll have to play again in some tournament to break the tie. Next matchup is against Sampustino. He needs no introduction. He is the Edison World Champion. I believe right now has the most tops out of all players in the format. I think he has 1 or 2. I think he has 1 more than me right now in terms of tops. But this is kind of a grudge match too, a rematch for me anyway, because I did lose to him at the end of one of the deck Devastators, and I got 9th. And I kind of actually is another one I misplayed myself. Seems like I keep losing because I misplay, but anyway, great player, always on Vayu. I know he's playing Vayu. He knows I'm playing zombies, so nothing surprising here. So this was I want to keep in mind here that this is the last round of the tournament and for day 1. So this is round 7, and we're both undefeated. So I look at my hand here, and I actually see a way I can win turn 2. And you all might have already seen it. So I have Dust Shoot here. I can look at my opponent's hand and literally pick apart whatever card stops my Dust Tornado Ultimate Offering combo. And Ultimate Offering with Goblin Zombie and like Diva is often OTK. It may not have been OTK with just Plague, but I'm very close to being able to win the game just by Ultimate Offering and a tuner with the Goblin. So at this point, we're setting it up. We set the Dust in case they set a back row. We can set the Ultimate Offering, and we can Dust Shoot. So that's my plan. We actually send back the Gores. I know a lot of people say, well, you see the Gores, you can play around it. I'm trying to win next turn. I'm not playing around anything. I'm going to win the game. So I send back the Gores because actually I can summon Sangan here. At this point, I know every card they have. I know they have a Torrential. They're going to set Raikou. Maybe they could summon the Armageddon, and I'm okay with that because either way, I can search another Goblin Zombie here. I can set the Ultimate Offering, and on my turn, I'm going to be able to summon Sangan, pay 500, summon a Plague Spreader, Synchro, search Diva, pay 500, summon the Goblin Zombie that I searched if he killed this. If not, it's already on the field. In that case, I would just pay 500 and summon Diva, and I can search the second Goblin Zombie off that one and special summon, pay 500, bring out the second Goblin. So essentially, I'm going to be able to OTK. Except the one thing I forget to do here is set the ultimate offering off of my Dust Tornado because I planned too far ahead. I should have won the game right here. And I'm still going to win this game because I know everything my opponent has, and he knows that. But the problem is I literally set this whole game up to set Ultimate Offering off this Dust Tornado, and I did not do it. So some of that has to do with fatigue. This has been a long day. It's been 7+ hours of tournament play. But this was really me getting too far ahead of myself because I got excited. I literally saw that I could win the game, and I forget to do one key thing, which is set Ultimate Offering off the Dust Tornado, which was set up perfect, and I didn't do it. Luckily, I am in such a dominant position just because of Dust Shoot. I know every single card they have, that it's really hard to lose this game here. And surprisingly enough, they set value. I thought it would have been the Raikou, but that's a good play by. That's like advanced value right there. They just know that you're gonna be able to flip a Goblins on me and just attack a Raikou. So that's the right play there, just setting the value. At this point, the opponent is summoning there, so they could make a Goyo and decides to just scoop it up because I know every card they have, and I don't actually have an immediate out to the Goyo, but I do have the Scrap Iron to stop the attack. I think that they just didn't want to reveal any more cards, and I'm pretty sure they're pretty tired at this point as well. So, you know, having a Trap Dust Shoot turn 1, knowing every single card they have, despite the fact that I did misplay and should have won game 2, like turn 2 right there, my opponent just scoops up, realizing that likely not going to be favorable the rest of the game. So they're going first here. My hand's kind of not good, and I get Dust Shoot. So, but the reality is this hand doesn't matter about Dust Shoot because I have 2 tuners anyway and nothing else. Everything else is trash. So this doesn't really matter. Of course, Diva is the right play because I can make double Synchro. So we are going to Mind Control because the reality is, I don't remember if I have Armor Realm in the extra deck. I don't think I do. Maybe I do. I don't think I care anyway. If it's a Raikou, I don't care because I'm going to flip it and destroy itself. So that's why I Mind Control here. The only thing that hurts is if it was value, which he does have. So if it's Raikou, I'm flipping and destroying itself, milling 3. If it's Hamster, I'm able to Synchro, so that's fortunate for us. So we just go Gaia here. I don't want to bring out anything that's actually important. Gaia is likely the most common card that I frequently ladder up because it's just useless. All it does is run over Stardust and eat Bottomless, so it's not completely useless. But in this situation, I don't want to ever like ladder up with a Goyo. So and plus this thing gets over all of the Synchro monsters aside from the Silver Wing or whatever it's called. So they know my whole hand here. I set the Compulse, and at this point, I think about this situation here. I don't want them to Synchro into Brio and get a pitch of the Necro Garner and bounce my Gaia. So I'm just going to Compulse the Plague Spreader Zombie here, and we're just going to banish it. And luckily, they don't have it. This is like the one time you see the value deck with like no trap cards for whatever reason, because they play like 20, just like I do. So at this point, the goal of this game is to ride the Gaia as long as I can and protect it pretty much at all cost. So we're just kind of plucking away at monsters, still far away from Dark Arm, so no concerns there. No pieces of value, so we're good there. And we're just going to set. So this was the one card that he does not know. He does not know Deep Prison. He knows that I have Bottomless. I believe he knows I have Return if I remember what I had in my opening hand. And I know he knows Compulse. So I tried to do a little bit of a switch up and set the Deep Prison here. And again, I'm drawing more traps, which is what this deck does. So now I'm reading potential Raikou. So I stack for the Plague Spreader Zombie, which is not good because I have not seen like a real monster card the whole game. And now I'm stacking Return, which can be live at some point because there is a Plague banished. But this does not feel good what I'm doing, but I feel like I have to keep something on the board because I'm not drawing anything. And so we go Stardust, and it's not even a Raikou. So again, our opponent here does not have like much going for them either. At this point, they can do the Necro, stop the attack, and then Tribute for Caius play. So we're just going to keep swinging with the Stardust, thinking that it's a Raikou. And I don't know why they don't negate there. That I feel like would have been a decent play. Maybe they feel like if they negate the Stardust, they tribute for Caius, then I could bottomless and negate with Stardust, essentially. I think that's probably what they thought, because they know I have bottomless. They don't know I have D Prison, and they don't know I have this Mirror Force. So I think that's why they say, you know what, I'm not going to waste the Necrogardner. I'm just going to, because of the fact that I could literally just kind of bypass the Caius. So, but they have a burial rather. So I'm not sure. I'm not a value expert, and this player knows what they're doing. So Smashing Ground, I side deck in just to have, just a one of. Usually I remove like a Book of Life sometimes, because of Royal Oppression and DD Crows. So at this point, I know they have the value. So what do I do here? I don't remember. So I think about it here. I do actually bottomless, because of the fact that I don't want them to Caius. To Caius me here. I would rather just bottomless and get rid of it. And so they know I have the bottomless. So I think they were trying to bait the bottomless, which is fine. But they don't know about D Prison still. So that's kind of the one thing I have going for me. So at this point, I would guess that they could just do... So they Plague here. I'm not entirely sure why. They could have just made another Armed Wing and then Tribute for Caius. Huh. So they're going to go Goyo Guardian. Okay, but you're still going Goyo Guardian into 2 back row, which seems, I know you know one of them at least, likely, but you don't know about D Prison. So I think probably just Caius here is better. And I'm probably just going to take the 2400 and then maybe Smashing Ground my next turn. But they try to go for the Goyo play, and I just have D Prison and my opponent scoop. So I think that you can kind of see at this point that fatigue has set in for both of us. We're both kind of not playing the best, but it's a long day. It's hard to play sharp all day long. And yeah, my game 1, I think that he was still in the game. He could have played a little bit longer. I don't know if he just didn't want to conceal, maybe keep some things concealed, but his value, it's pretty obvious what cards are in the deck. I think that it's pretty obvious that he was tired, and I don't think he was really into playing the last round. At this point, both of us are pretty much in top cut, so it doesn't really matter anyway, but that was round 7. This here is this is my top 16 match. Bad Robot, I believe plays Diva Hero. I don't know who gets to go first here, but so I don't know if I know he's on Diva Hero. I probably know. At this point, pretty much everybody knows what everybody's playing in top cut. I get to go first here with double Starlight Road. Isn't that something? And yeah, so I've played Diva Hero. I actually topped one of the deck Devastators with Diva Hero, and I know how explosive the deck can be. And the deck does not have much of a control game at all, unless you're kind of playing a little bit slower style with more traps. But I think at this point, a lot of the decks, the Diva Hero deck is kind of playing more traps now. I just think that's kind of where the deck has gone. So I have not actually picked up the deck in quite a while, so I couldn't tell you. So one thing that we noticed from turn 1, my opponent does not attack my face down monster. So he obviously knows I'm on zombies. It's pretty clear. So I'm okay with this because, again, like I mentioned earlier, if people are not going to attack my stuff, then I'm fine. I'll sit around. And when people decide that they're going to attack my Goblin Zombie, I'm going to flip Scrap Iron Scarecrow. I'm going to flip D Prison, and I'm going to keep that alive so I can tribute for Caius or make a Diva play. So I'm going to be very selective of what my opponent attacks, and I'm perfectly fine with them not attacking recruiters. They have to out them somehow, and I'm not going to attack and ram into anything. So that's just how I play. And, I haven't showcased every round or everything, but you have seen that I have not rammed a single recruiter into anything yet. My opponent is playing extremely passive. Sure, no problem. This is where I thrive, so I'm okay with that. So I'm just setting more recruiters. This is even more of a wall that they have to go through. And I know that I'm not going to lose this game to an OTK because I have Trag. Even if it's a small Trag, it's at least going to block one attack. So my opponent's obviously trying to set up the Diva play, a big push. They want to win in one turn, which is going to be very hard to do, especially through true recruiters. So a piece of me at one point thought about switching the Tomato and maybe crashing the Armageddonite when it was in attack position last turn, especially where I have Starlight Road. And I could have flipped up both and done that. They do have Torrential, so maybe they play right into Starlight Road. But I said, you know what? I'm not even going to try to run into a D Prison. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to sit here and just wait. And I'm actually enjoying the game the way it's going right now because I'm not in any risk of losing. Again, making synchros, making plays, but not attacking anything. No problem. I'll just set my turtle. No big deal. So we're just sitting back. We're having a good time. And I feel like this is the turn where it's going to be the big one. And I'm getting excited to see what this deck can do because I know it can be very explosive. So now we have a Brio. So this is like crazy, right? The thing that I'm feeling here is I'm thinking not enough cards in their hand to discard my recruiters or to bounce my cards. Going to be very difficult to go through all of this stuff. So they actually do a pretty cool play where they bounce their own absolute zero to destroy both of my monsters, which was it's a good idea. I have to flip Starlight Road here, even though I know it's gonna get negated because I want the Stardust to be off the field. And this is one of the few times that Starlight Road's actually good versus Absolute Zero, because most of the time you don't actually get a Stardust summon if it's done in if it goes to the graveyard. You can't get the Stardust. You can still negate it, and most of the time it happens during damage step, so you can't activate Starlight Road at all. So obviously we're going to negate here, and we're going to lose our recruiters, and I'm okay because I have a Mirror Force, and my opponent would have to have Solemn, and if they have Solemn, I can still drop Trag, so I'm not going to lose. My opponent probably could have been a little bit more patient, I think. If they just waited one more turn and brought Stardust back, I probably would have been in a little bit tougher spot. Definitely, I would have had to like brain control the Brio and pitch to bounce the board. That's what it would have had. What would have taken to actually break the board. But so I think my opponent got a little impatient, and you'll see why, because they have return, so they can continue the combo. And so this is like the most explosive I've ever seen Diva here, to be honest with you, in one turn. Of course, they played very slow and they set this up, but they made a full board of monsters and have used return, and unfortunately I have not taken any bit of damage from my opponent, so that's kind of like my opponent's wasting a lot of resources and a lot of gas here, and I'm not really taking any damage, but I kind of have the right cards to stop them. So here I'm going to flip the scrap iron and stop the attack. Why not? And they're continuing to make synchros. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 synchros made, and absolute 0 were made, 5 synchros. So again, I'm sitting pretty. I'm not too worried here. I have a Trag and a Sangan, and I'm able to set up Dark Arm with a Brain Control. I think right here it's pretty obvious that we're just going to Brain Control, and we are going to try to run over the Stardust. My opponent had the option last turn with the return to destroy back row or search with Stratos. I think the right play was to search because they have the Wing Blast, so that was smart by them. Because Wing Blast is dead if you don't. You want to at least have Wing Blast turn on, and Mirror Force is already gone, so like, what are you popping in the back row? A scrap iron? Like, okay. I would have taken 1800 more damage. So we're gonna try to run this over. I think they do Wing Blast here. Makes sense. And we out the Dark End, which was probably the biggest threat. This is perfect. Now they're attacking face downs, which I'm all for, and we are going to search the Gale, which can out both monsters on this board. We have Scrap Iron, so now we've saved 2,500 and 1,800 damage. Sure, D-Prison would have been better here, but I got to use this twice. And now they're searching, so I almost laughed. I was like giggling when I saw that they were searching heavy because I have another Starlight Road, so I have to get rid of the Stardust. So at this point, we have Gale, and my opponent does another good play here. They played pretty well, I thought. They obviously chain Torrential to my Ignition when I summon and use priority. The other opportunity was I could have just summoned and not used priority, and then they would have had a Torrential right then and there. I don't think that would have made any difference, to be honest with you. Like, would they have Torrential? And then I could have if they would have Torrentialed on summon, then I could have popped or used the effect on the Iron Chain. But who does that? I don't think anybody's going to do that. So I'm fine with this. We have Scrap Iron to protect it, and we're good. So we actually stop the Iron Chain because we're on 2 Darks, and we don't want to mill. So that's important here. So we stopped another attack. That's 3 attacks with Scrap Iron Scarecrow. We obviously have to lose the Gale here. But a piece of me now is ready to try to win the game next turn because we're only at 4,000. And because of the return. So I can drop Trag. I can make a Diva play. I also have Dark Arm. So this is where we're going to drop Trag. Perfect. We incidentally played around Dust Shoot without even knowing, you know what I mean? We had no idea to know that they had Dust Shoot, but it just was fortunate for us that we dropped Trag here because we are able to set up the Dark Arm play and the Synchro push with a Starlight Road. Of course, they have Starter, so they can negate that, but Stardust would have to be off the field, and then we can pop things with Dark Arm. So you can kind of see what's going to happen here. We're just going to go for it, and they scoop because they're at 4,000. So that was a wild game one. I'll be honest with you. I've never seen Diva Hero be so explosive. My opponent was extremely patient. Obviously, they were not attacking like anything. You saw they did not attack a single recruiter. But I also did not play aggressive at all, and that's just how I play. I literally will sit back and wait for everything. So fortunately for me, it worked out. But anyway, this game was a little bit more interesting. So we have a cool little ultimate offering combo here potentially. My opponent got to go first, which is strong. Stratos is so strong, but we have the Gale again. As you can see, Gale was like putting in work all weekend. So at this point, we have ultimate offering with Goblin Zombie and Diva. So I see a way or a path to victory, and this is why I feel this deck is just so much better than Instant Fusion, because like Instant Fusion never wins you the game, where ultimate offering can literally win you the game. Sure, it's a dead draw sometimes, or if you already have one, it's kind of useless. But this is all it takes to like win the game. If you play Illblood, I think you can do a little bit more crazy stuff, but I also cut Illblood because I was trying to do too much crazy stuff with it. So it's kind of like the double-edged sword. You have to be very tame if you're going to use Illblood. So we just kind of run over Stratos and we don't care. And we match, we set 2. So at this point, we can potentially win the game. The problem is I don't really want to do all these synchro plays into back row, so I think I just attack. We're reading Snowman Eater here because of the fact that this deck doesn't set anything else. And I know for a fact when I was playing Diva Hero, I think there was a main decked Snowman in it, and we side decked a couple more. So at this point, I just decide how do I want to go about dealing with the Snowman, and I just figure I just attack, like whatever. It's got to be flipped up, and we set Goblin. So they dust a new one because I can actually just chain it anyway. So I don't mind setting 3 there because I'm not reading Heavy Storm. And for them, if they play Heavy from the hand, it's just a 3 for 3, and I can chain Compulse. So we're okay with that. So now they actually Heavy, which I was like, damn, because I could probably win next turn. More than likely, if they just go like draw pass, I win. So it was a little bit, I felt a little deflated when I saw that. And then we got a Vanity's Fan now that we have to deal with. So that's kind of annoying, but we get to search Spirit Reaper. So this card stalls out so often. Obviously they know it's Spirit Reaper. There's no question about it. But the Vanity's Fiend also turns off that deck. They don't even give me a chance for Caius. They literally main phase 2 mind control. So that's very smart by them. I would say my opponent played very, very well. You know what I mean? Maybe there's some different things they could have done game 1, but like, you know, you can't critique them based on looking at somebody's hand, right? We're watching a replay of both hands wide open, and you can see everything. So it's very easy to pick and choose and nitpick plays, but I think they played fairly well. So luckily enough, we draw the Mizuki. Not that it matters much because Armageddon Knight's not much of a threat. But we have the Scrap Iron. There we go. There it is. And I don't know what happens here. So I was thinking to myself before they actually slammed the Alias that I am in such a good position here because there's not many cards in this deck that actually can run over Mizuki aside from Stratos, and I'm not even sure if they played Alias. Excuse me. But obviously they do. But Stratos, Alias, and like Vanity's Fiend here. So in my mind, they're going to try to go Vanity's Fiend attack, and I can Scrap Iron and then sack for Caius next turn and get rid of this the Vanity's Fiend, and then Mizuki bring back Spirit Reaper and drop a card out of their hand. Obviously they have Crow, I don't know that, but unfortunately for me, they actually have the Alias as well. So now they play very smart. They only run over the Mizuki with the Alias because they don't want to run into D prison, and they don't attack with Vanity's Fiend. So obviously if I flip up the Scrap Iron there, they're just going to attack with Vanity's Fiend, so we don't reveal it, and we draw Compulse. So we're just setting more stuff because they've already played Heavy. And a piece of me says I could like Compulse the Vanity's Fiend at any given time and try to combo. But this Vanity's Fiend's kind of working with me as well because they have Plague in the graveyard, and I know that deck is extremely explosive. They have, you know, a water, they have a hero, so Miracle Fusion's live anytime. So at this point, they decide to attack with the Alias, I believe. I take the Alias, and they don't attack with Vandy, so that's fine. So I draw a Tomato here, so now things get a little spicy. I can make a play next turn. So they attack with the Alias. So I really should have done this in a different way. I should have compulsed the Vandy's Fiend when they declare the attack, and then let this die to search for the Goblin Zombie. That would be the correct play here. So I actually Scrap Iron that. And then I think I compulse the Vandies here. Yeah. So that was a little bit of a miss sequence. It actually turns out to not matter because I remember here that they decide to do the big synchro push. So it doesn't actually matter if this is a Goblin Zombie or not, but the proper play would have been to chain the compulse to the attack and search Goblin with the Mystic Tomato. But again, my opponent would have just brioed and bounced the Goblin back to my hand. So it didn't matter. So they are making big plays here, and they know I have the Scrap Iron, so at any given time they can bounce this, but it has stopped a few attacks. I think okay, so I actually top deck Mind Control. So, of course, it doesn't matter because I could, like, actually, they have double DD Crow, so I could have Mizuki'd out the Goblin, and then they would have DD Crow'd, so I would have been I would have been in some trouble here, obviously, because of the fact that they have Brio on the board, too. So this Mind Control was really, really strong. So I can't complain there. They obviously DD Crow because they know I'm trying to slam Caius, which they've been playing around the whole game. Again, great play. So we go Diva here, and we obviously have the Mind Control, and we are going to take Brio, we're going to pitch, we're going to Synchro, and we make Stardust. We save this Diva here because we have the Caius, and we have Scrap Iron, so they can't even run over the Diva if we want. So we are sitting like beautiful right now. So I am like I'm feeling very confident right now. And at this point, I have Stardust on the board, so we're just going to slam, and there we go. So you can say what you want about Scrap Iron Scarecrow, whether you like it or you don't. I like the card. Has it been like crazy impressive thus far? It showcased pretty well game one, I would say, in this match, and it was not terrible here. Most of the times you want a D-Prison, but you have to remember that D-Prison is used once, and that's that. And sure, I'm not going to argue the fact that D-Prison is better a lot of the time. But this card is good with double Starlight Road. So I like it, and I don't know if I'll continue to play it or not, but it was fun for this tournament. We have one more review, and we're going to get out of here because this video is probably way longer than it needs to be. This is my top 8 match. I'm not familiar with the player, but I know they're on Value Turbo. So I've beaten a few Value Turbo throughout the day. Actually, this is my second Value Turbo. I beat Sampostino, but that wasn't obviously the cleanest play by myself. You know, I wasn't playing the greatest. So we set the Tomato and Turtle, and we have Starlight Road and Solemn. That's kind of cool. So we set everything. So I didn't know they were on Value for some reason. I almost Solemn this Lila because I thought they were on Lightsworn, and I wanted to keep them off mills. Luckily, I resisted the urge to do that, and they do pick apart the Solemn. And I'm guessing at this point that they want to slam heavy because they don't see Solemn. No, they don't. Okay, so we're just gonna crash and kill the Lila. At this point, I know that they are playing Value because there's one in the graveyard, and they're gonna go. So they slam heavy now. My opponent obviously thought that I just had the Solemn, so they didn't expect the Road, I would guess. And once you Starlight Road a heavy like that, you're a pretty good position. But they have the answer for it. Gale is very strong. I know I go back and forth with this card, but it's just it's so obnoxious sometimes, like just to answer things like that. And you don't want to de-prison it. You don't want to spend any resources on it, but it outs so many things. I feel like it has to be played in Ultimate Offering because you need the other tuner. I think that it just probably needs to be played as much as I love and hate this card. I don't know. Felt very good this tournament. So we do MST here. We MST the back row because we need this turtle to survive. And we want to crash here to get the Book of Life turned on. And if that's Mirror Force, then Book of Life's turned on, but we want to be able to get rid of the Gale. And if it's D-Prison, we obviously don't want that to be banished because we only have, that's the only thing we have going for us. So we are going to blind MST here, which is generally not the best, but we do have Compulse that we could chain anyway. So I feel fine doing that. And now we're able to run over the Gale with the Mizuki because we want a free tribute, which will be Caius. Obviously, over Mizuki is way better than Caius over Tomato or Turtle. So that was pretty good. I actually Book of Life here to keep him off of 3 darks, and we get the 2-for-1 special where it happens to be a value as well. So that's the reason why we do that here. What do you know? They actually draw a Dark Arm, so there we go. We made a good play there. And so that's something you have to be very conscious with when you're playing against Value because that card is literally live all the time. And so I was very conscious there. I'm fresh today because this is the first round, this is the second match of day 2, so I am not making forgetting to set Ultimate Offering off a Dust Tornado, you know. So we are going to attack. I don't personally care about Gores all that much because we have the Caius follow-up, so we're fine. I believe they actually drop right on the... right on the 1200, so that made decision-making pretty easy here. And we main phase 2 Caius. So we're sitting very good here. I can't see, how do we lose here? I think that I try to, again, keep them off of Dark Arm, so we banish the Gores. That was a big focus there, doing that main phase 2. A piece of me considered compulsing back my Caius, but I thought I don't want to get too cute here. Once I see that when they slam Dark Arm, they slam Grepher and Ram, I know they have Dark Arm. It's pretty obvious. But they probably don't have to do that. I don't know. They could probably just set the Grepher and set Bottomless and like be patient. But they decided to do it now. And Dark Arm main phase 2 is not nearly as good as Dark Arm main phase 1. And we have Brain Control, which is fortunate for us, and Mind Control. So we have the whole package. And I don't remember what I entirely do. I think I probably just Brain Control, Mind Control rather. They're at 47. No, so we just win here. I Brain Control, probably banish the Caius, and I would guess the Diva over Pyramid Turtle would be the way I win. Yeah. I do apologize. I've worked all day. I'm trying to think through what I thought that day, and I don't really remember. So, but that's game. That's 5,600, and worked out pretty good. We played pretty well that match, I would say. So this is where things get a little spicy. So my opponent obviously has, you can see what's going to happen here, and you can see what my hand is. So this is not going to be good. This is turn 1. They are going to set up the deck devastation, and if this is not deck devy and this is just any other trap, I'm probably fine, right? I have heavy and I have a bunch of traps I can set with the road, and I have tomato, which I could either summon or set. You know, you have to think about Nobleman coming in game 2 and 3. But at this point, the only thing that stops this play is literally turn 1 DD Crow. You have to have it turn 1, and I don't. So I'm losing 2 recruiters or 2 monsters, and they know my whole hand. So at this point, we just have to play with our hand revealed. And I kind of scoop a little bit early there, but they had game, but they would have had to play through round. They would have had to play through a few back row. But I probably could have played a little bit longer there. I think I scooped up a bit quick. They had Dark Arm. No, Dark Arm would have blew up my whole board, actually. So it didn't matter. I was dead there. So I get to go first here, but of course I don't actually have a hand that is able to stop any of a deck devy. Fortunately, they don't have deck devy in their hand, but I don't actually have an out to it, like no Bottomless. There's no Dust Tornado, nothing like that. So I do draw Dark Arm here. So the play is just to set the tomato and say go. Oh, look what they drew. So they are able to set the Sirocco, and they're able to set deck devy. The other alternative is I can just not set tomato and say go. But like, how do I ever play? Like I have double Caius in my hand. If I have a tomato on my, you need to set the whole deck. You have to set monsters to be able to set up. You need 2 monsters on the field to be able to do most of your synchro plays. You know, Goblin Diva. You need to have a monster to Caius. So like, you have to set a recruiter there. I don't think that's the wrong play. Of course, that they have the deck devy and they do it right in the draw phase. I'm actually okay for right now because I have return and potential Dark Arm. So this is my thought here is they know everything I have. If I set return and I draw a dark, whatever it be, it would be less than, unless it's a Caius, it's less than 1,500 attack, Goblin, Zombie, Tomato, whatever. It goes to the graveyard. I can slam Dark Arm. I can banish cards on the field, and I can banish to target my return and probably win the game. So that's kind of where I'm thinking here. So I actually set the return to set up a potential, like that's how I win. Like how else do I win? I'm under deck devy. They know every card I have, and they are in control of the game. So kind of how I'm going forward with this. They set Raikou, and I draw a Smashing Ground, which like I don't know what else it would have been. Probably a Book of Life. It would I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, Book of Life maybe. I don't know. I think I side decked down onto 1 Book of Life. Could be wrong, but either way, it wouldn't have mattered. So now I am in a really bad spot because this Raikou is going to flip and kill my back row. They know every card I have, so it doesn't matter. And they just drew the Grepher, so I am extra dead now because they have the whole combo where they can send the Vayu, they can send Plague from the deck and Synchro, and they could have even just flipped the Raikou and just milled if they wanted. They actually mill another Vayu, so I am not going to be able to play. And they know everything I have, so I think I lose right here. Yeah. So the only thing I think I could have done differently is like not set return there, and they don't get the extra value play. But I'm still under deck Devi. What did I actually do? Do I draw here? I don't know if I remember if I drew. I did, and there's the Mystic Tomato right there. So if this is Mystic Tomato, I still can't play because they have Royal Oppression, so it doesn't matter. So this is the replay review. I made some decent reads at times. I did make some slight mishaps and some missequencing, I would say. There was no way I'm winning this game. I got deck Devi. They had Royal Oppression. That's what Vayu does. And the side deck I do need to work on a little bit more because this deck gets blown out by deck Devi at times. Sure, sometimes it doesn't happen where you can have like the hand where you got a few Goblin zombies and they pitch them all. Then you book a life one back and tribute for Caius and you're kind of in control. But I think there was a round. Actually, I lost to a True Hero in RBET, last round in RBET, winner top 8s. And I got deck Devi for like 4 cards turn 1. So, you know, that card really just blows people out of the game sometimes. And it's unfortunate because like I think we could have had a really good back and forth game, but I didn't get to play much in my top 8 match. So, again, I didn't showcase all the games. There are other matches that showcase Scrap Iron a little bit, maybe a little bit more. I don't really remember. But I do like to be transparent and share the replays when I have success in these tournaments because I think that's good for everyone to see that, see what I was thinking and see where I made some mistakes. And, you know, I'm sure you guys will comment some other things I could have done differently. Again, I want you to keep in mind that you're watching replays with hands revealed. And it's extremely easy to have bias and say, oh, you should have done this and should have done that and pick apart plays because you can see all the cards. So remember, I'm playing with no knowledge of what they have aside from trying to make reads. But anyway, I love the deck. It was great that day. I hope you guys give it a try. Try Scrap Iron Scarecrow out. See if you like it. See if you don't. And with that being said, I'll see y'all on the next one.